In the middle of the week, Trump's cabinet meeting turned into a masterclass in ass kissing. The Independent also pointed out that Trump is hawking wares again. $50 hats to celebrate the country's 250th birthday. Another person called the meeting a support group for people who've lost their dignity, which is the damn truth. Here's some highlights.
That speaks to the strength of your leadership. It has never been a better time to be an American.
I think actually your efforts on the reflecting pool are actually a great segue. Just like you talked about with the reflecting pool, we didn't do the same old thing the way we'd done it in the past.
Just a reminder of another war you helped to settle, Mr. President.
It's exciting to see your vision.
You're leading us to the greatest economy that the world has ever known, and that's why they tell you to tell me to tell you, Mr. President, thank you, and they love you.
Every day, more and more people are wising up to what Trump and his administration are really about. His base is crumbling. At this point, false displays from his cabinet is just embarrassing. And the people in that meeting know it. They know that all the things they are praising Trump for, it's a lie. Trump has accomplished nothing except dividing the country, bankrupting us, and breaking almost every campaign promise. I don't doubt that the career politicians in that cabinet meeting are seriously rethinking some recent major life decisions, but can't find the exit ramp because they are in too deep. While white nationalists Hegseth and the other yo-yos from Fox News, who are not qualified for their positions, but are united in their dream of a white nationalist America. In the Heritage Foundation's book, The Conservative Mind, this white nationalist dream of theirs depends on the destruction of the middle class. Which makes me wonder, is the affordability crisis we're now in part of this plan? It fits. But back to some good news. This week ended on a high note. 3 judges proved they are not willing to toss Trump a bunch of empty platitudes. Instead, they plan to hold him accountable. This is huge. A judge is reopening the Trump lawsuit against the IRS, making his whole settlement null and void, stating the settlement is premised on deception, making the courts a victim of fraud. This administration out for its corruption and self-dealing. Now let's just hope SCOTUS doesn't prove themselves yet again duplicitous with this administration and undo the progress the lower courts are making against this corrupt administration. The public needs to make our highest court and the Republican members of it aware that all eyes are on them. If they don't like being called corrupt, now is the time to prove to us they are not and uphold the lower court's decision. Here's MS Now's Chris Hayes and his guests discussing these 3 cases in more detail. Please like and subscribe.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump's 80th birthday is coming up in just 2 weeks, and as is his style, he's been corruptly lavishing himself with presents all year in preparation. But today, 3 separate federal judges started raining on his parade, a quick succession of court decisions over the course of just a few hours rebuking Trump on some of his seemingly highest priorities in office. I mean, these are the things that keep him up at night. These are the things he thinks about, that he plots about, that he talks about to the press and anyone who's listening. There is clear evidence of the growing backlash to his profiteering off of his petition. Like when he unilaterally put his name above John F. Kennedy's on the Kennedy Center. Not, profit per se, but let's just say self-aggrandizement. A federal judge today ordered Trump's name permanently removed from the building, saying, quote, and this is true, Congress gave the Kennedy Center its name and only Congress can change it. That was just the beginning of Trump's very bad day. The next shoe to drop was over his planned $1.8 billion slush fund to pay the people who helped him try to overthrow an election the last time he lost, and we should say, essentially anyone else that he wants to. The plan is now falling apart. A federal judge in Virginia put the brakes on that slush fund today, halting it as multiple lawsuits against Trump's DOJ work through their way through the courts. Remember, Trump's DOJ proposed this fund at a settlement to Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS that Donald Trump controls. And today, the federal judge in Florida, who heard the lawsuit, right, when Trump filed the lawsuit against the IRS, she said she is reopening that lawsuit to investigate grievous allegations that the settlement was, quote, premised on deception and made the court the victim of a fraud. That was a response to a motion by 35 former federal judges saying the Trump administration might have defrauded the court with its settlement. The settlement seems like a product of collusion, not a good faith process between two parties in a lawsuit who are, crucially, adversarial to each other in a controversy, as the Constitution describes. In fact, one of the signatories, one of the retired federal judges who signed onto that brief, explained on our show just last night how there could have been a fraud on the court. I mean, members of both parties have now introduced bills to block it. One congressman is pushing to subpoena the Trump officials who were involved in putting the plan for that fund together. That congressman is Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland. He's a ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, and he joins me now. Congressman, I think you and I would both agree that federal district court judges, that's the lowest level in the federal judiciary that has 3 levels, district, appellate, Supreme Court, across ideological lines, across the party that nominated them, have really consistently kind of just said up is up and down is down, black is black and white is white when it comes to Trump. And today we have another example with respect to the slush fund. So first, let me just start with your understanding of the significance of both of these rulings. 1, to just stop it, and 2, down in Florida to reopen the case.
It's monumental. And the constitutional philosophy that's been advanced by tens of millions of Americans across the country of no kings, I think is also being taken up by the federal judiciary. These people are saying no kings. We're actually going to enforce the law as it is. So it's a remarkable day for the rule of law in America as the judges peel back the various layers of the onion and reveal nothing but a fraud at the heart of it. And that fraud is obviously propounded by Donald Trump, but Attorney General Todd Blanche is right in the thick of it. I mean, they filed a motion to dismiss on July 23rd of 2025 in a case not only exactly on point legally, but on exactly the same point factually. It related to the same leak that Trump was concerned about. This is the one that sent Charles Littlejohn to jail for leaking information about Trump's taxes. And the DOJ, under Todd Blanche and under Pam Bondi, sent in a motion to dismiss, which succeeded, saying that you can't recover against the government for the misdeeds of a private government contractor. They knew it. They won on that point, and then they turned around in this case, and they agreed with Donald Trump that he should get $10 billion.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So now they're all going back and saying it was a fraud on the court from the beginning. There was collusion between the two sides. They weren't owed $1, much less $10 billion. So the settlement, the so-called settlement, was completely fraudulent. It was an attempt to set up this $1.776 billion political slush fund for their friends, and then also an attempt to wipe the slate clean for any tax fraud, tax crimes, or other federal crimes or federal civil violations that were undertaken by Trump, his family, or his businesses, which, of course, had nothing to do with the original matter of the leak in the first place. So they tried to sneak into this whole thing, this wipeout of liability, a super pardon by the Attorney General for the president, his family, and his businesses. And now suddenly it's clear the emperor's got no clothes. This was a fraud on the court that they're trying to turn into a fraud against the country.